Is up. Apologize for being a little late. Had some technical difficulties this morning. Let's turn. But we finally made it. Thankfully, we haven't missed anything major just yet. I've been watching it, while trying to get it going. Woke up to some Wi-Fi issues, thanks to Comcast. But we're here. What's good, Nikita? What's good, Damien, Brody, Trayvon, MC, Greg, Corey? See a lot of night owls up in here. You guys got audio, everything. You can hear everything okay? What's good, the one try hard? Malachi, better be some good news. Yeah, I don't anticipate any negative news coming from this. From what I've heard so far, it seems like they've been having a pretty good year in terms of financial gain and profits. I hope we get something, but last time we didn't get any news. Yeah, this time they'll actually be free to talk about the recently acquired studios like Crystal Dynamics. In their last report, the deal was still in the process of being finalized, so they wouldn't have been able to speak about it legally, at all anyway. So it's like that's why I didn't stream it or promote the report coming up because I knew they wouldn't be able to really go into detail about anything. You hoping for stories for Winter Soldier, Spider-Man, and Jane Foster? I don't think they plan on changing on that front anytime soon. I hope we get a trailer for Bucky tomorrow. Yeah, I think we could see that trailer drop today or later today. Turn this up a little bit for you guys. Well, I mean, I know we don't care about most of the stuff he's talking about, but just for the sake of having some audio going, I guess. What's good, Damien? Keith, Keithon, how you doing? I would love for someone to pick up where Anthem left off. That would have been another great live service game to play in my free time, like this at Gotham Knights. Yeah, I never really got around to picking up Anthem. I've checked it out a little bit in streams and stuff, but great flying mechanics, if nothing else. I just want to continue supporting it. Or you want them to continue supporting it? Uh, if you pay attention to them and listen to their like strategy behind, just amassing different studios and gaming companies, I think they have a vision for both Crystal Dynamics and Avengers long term, and they're in a unique position where they now have a relationship with Marvel that they probably didn't have prior to picking up those studios. Long time no chat. Yeah, yeah, we getting back into the mix of things. Yeah, had a recent death in the family that kind of shook me a little bit, but we getting back to normal. Yeah, Damien, I'll do a breakdown video of whatever information we get from this tomorrow. What's good, Tom? Appreciate that, man. Any news yet? No, they're still at the very beginning of the presentation. Oh, it's I appreciate that. The one try hard. Xerix, I'm good. I hope you having a good morning as well. It's what time is it? 2:30 over here. Appreciate that, guys. True Uzumaki, last of my can. I really appreciate that. Sorry to hear that, Sammy. R.I.P. to your grandfather. But I'm grateful to still be here. I'm grateful you guys are here, and hopefully we get some, can you know, some positive news about Avengers, or at least some encouraging news. But yeah, if you guys tuned in to their last stream, they're not as hands on as as other publishers may be. They supply capital, but they don't really come in and change the culture of a studio or anything like that. Yeah, nothing yet, Tony. Yeah, that's true, Tom. I expected them to say a little bit about what they planned for 2.8, and I didn't anticipate a hero being next. I feel like that would have been strong to announce that, something like that, but I didn't really anticipate that. But I do have some somewhat encouraging news. I'll share with you guys in a bit. Something people who've been watching things, behind the scenes have picked up on. Any updates on War Machine? Not that I've heard. Nothing concrete. Nothing concrete. It's mostly just speculation and wishful thinking at this point. What's up, Evil Eyes? Hoping for good news. Yeah, don't if you're here expecting them to announce a shutdown or something like that, take that stress off your life and off your heart. This is a it's a quarterly report. They're not gonna stand in front of a camera and be like, unfortunately, we're not continuing support for Avengers being worked on by Crystal Dynamics. Anything is possible, but I don't expect that. All right, so this is the questionnaire part. So we'll see. What's good, Mookie?
I don't know if the word satisfied is a word I enjoy, but I think we actually had a stable quarter in a quite difficult environment with the mixed reception of our releases. We still make a decent amount of money, 2.1 billion. It's not a bad number, even though I would like to see the stronger cash flow coming through. But I think I'm confident that the working capital will be improved going forward. Overall, when I'm meeting my colleagues and talking to the industry, there is optimism for the future, despite the macroeconomic environment. And many of our companies are growing fast, and people are really excited about the upcoming years and the pipeline we have coming.
Are you surprised to see how it's impacting?
You can't hear them. Oh.
Revisions are turning more negative when it comes to the market news so early November, as you mentioned.
No, I'm not really surprised. I I think obviously we have seen a weaker ads market, for example, already. We have seen the buyers with different behaviors.
Can you
on
guys hear them
tabletop
now?
Business segment. The PC console market is a bit different, because it's really driven by, the hardware shipments, quality of the overall
It's
industry
low?
pipeline.
Okay.
Happy to see great performance now, a number of key titles coming out, Call of Duty, Gods of War, and others. So it's a really solid PC console games business out there that we are in.
And you have
Okay.
a lot of
Sorry about that.
games coming out, so I guess you're not fully dependent on how the market is trending. But what would you say in the quarter with Saints Row, for example?
Yeah.
How much of that was, how big percent was the platform deal?
Yeah, we haven't disclosed the full number, Martin, as you know, but it was a notable portion of the revenues, and I think obviously it helped that business case to recoup faster. But overall, we had great pre-orders, and now we're working on it to improve the game, so the game will have a long tail, bringing out more content, doing the bug fixing. So I think over time it will be okay, but we did have higher expectations.
Okay, I think PC console was a bit above at least my forecast on the sales number, earnings fairly in line, but on tabletop it came in a bit below the expectations out there when it comes to EBIT. Why was that, do you think, and what do you expect in terms of near-term outlook for tabletop?
Well, we saw a mixed in the
Let me
gross
see if I
margins
can
in
do
tabletop
anything
segments,
about the
more
volume
trading
on
card
that.
games,
Let me
less
see.
board games, and that is affecting our gross margin basically. On the board game segment, we have much higher margins because we own the IPs, and so. But overall, I think they had a stable business. I don't think we should look too much into that
All right.
specific quarter. I think it's. I'm happy.
Did the audio increase for you guys?
And I guess we can ask
Because
Asmodee
if
later
it doesn't
in
do
the detail
anything
as
from
well,
that, there's
but,
nothing much
do
I
you
can do.
still
It's on them.
expect, cash flow facing as in a normal year for them?
Yeah, I think so. Looking at tabletop in general, the cash flow is very skewed towards the later part of the financial year. So we expect to see that predominantly in Q4 this year, and we expect to see a reduction then of this, a strong reduction of the inventory up until the end of this year. They have excess inventory, so to fully turn that around, they will need more than to the end of March.
All right,
But
gotcha. Appreciate
we
the
expect
feedback.
a solid cash flow contribution from Asmodee for the remainder part of this year, especially in Q4.
And before we go into your reversed guidance for the full year, do you still expect the same phasing as you commented on in the previous quarter when it comes to the quarters? If you understand my question.
For operational or adjusted EBIT
Adjusted
between the
EBIT,
quarters. I think that it's we focused firstly and foremostly on the performance of the fiscal year, and we also highlighted specific
What's good, Almighty?
platform deal, licensing deal, partnership. Which
So what can we expect today then? I would expect that
or a notable
motion
impact
comic trailer to drop later today.
the phasing.
And possible news of a dev stream,
Okay,
possibly Friday.
And Johan, if you could just comment also on the difference between the reported EBIT and the adjusted EBIT, since it's a quite
No, they haven't said
magnitude,
anything yet,
difference. If you
Almighty.
could just share some color on that, please.
Yeah. So
They still low.
adjusted EBIT.
Let me see.
There we exclude specific items related to historical acquisitions, and those items are mainly amortizations related to surplus values identified in the PPA work. It's also transaction costs, and as explained, or as we talked about in Q1, when converting or transitioning to IFRS, there are, in the case where you have earn-out obligations.
Did you miss anything? No, you did. You haven't missed
considered to
anything.
be part of the purchase price, according to IFRS. That will be expensed as a personal cost, as it is being earned.
Let me know if this is increasing value for you guys.
From adjusted EBIT, as we view it to be a part of the consideration for the company.
They don't have any captions.
I think, to give a few words now, I think there is in general a common sense that many of the earnouts, which is quite significant, that will require the management team to stay on board for some time. And those conditions, when we require that, then it turns out as a personal cost in the P&L. But it's a relevant question.
Yeah. And then you revised the guidance for this year with 2 quarters to go, and then you kept it intact for the next year. And just to clarify, this new guidance, it includes the contribution from the recent acquisitions that you announced in Q1, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and if we go through just on the change, you mentioned a couple of things up there, like moving the release date of Dead Island 2, for example. Which one of these would you say is the most important for the revision? Is it the back catalog or is it the new game?
I'm pretty sure Crystal Dynamics will have something to say.
I think it's hard to point out one thing.
I won't guarantee Avengers.
It's a mix of things, Martin.
I just made it loud.
But Dead Island, we expect some
it was fine on
some performance of Dead Island, but it was just a few weeks of performance within the quarter. But obviously that is one reason. So I think there is several reasons, and the combined impact of those made us to revise the forecast. Considering everything, I think 8 to 10 billion is still a lot more than last year.
And on this change of postponed release date for Dead Island, is it internal factors or external factors that make you move it?
Considering fans has been waiting 10 years or 4 years, or depending how you see things, delaying the game another 12 weeks in order to make sure the consumer and fans gets a bug-free, polished game in their hands. For me, it was an easy decision that quality comes first, albeit being a bit painful. Moving from the financial year, I promised myself not to drive this business because of the financial year, so I'll need to stick to that.
But Goat Simulator is out today. What expectations do you have on that game? How big do you think it can be, and what's the reception so far and feedback?
It's a crazy game. I don't know what to expect. I've really been enjoying working with the team and watching the game. It's like no other game. So I do believe it's a game that could be enjoyed by millions and millions of people out there, and it gives a very crazy, wacky kind of experience now in the multiplayer mode as well. So.
And I must ask you about Tiny Tina, the royalties from there. Was that included in this quarter now?
Yes, first time.
Yeah. And any comment on the magnitude or versus your expectations? Maybe you could share.
I would say about in line. But we expect that to now come through every quarter. So the Gearbox royalties works that way, that when they finally reach the hurdle,
I was just
there's
telling
a
Bob the
quite
other
nice
day,
flow
like, it
of
would be,
royalties coming.
that would be a major ill.
So
if
I'm
this
really
game
pleased
lost
to see
support
that,
before they were
and
able to deliver on Captain
they've been
Marvel.
building, they've been building the game over the past since the release, and I think it's a
How
very
do I feel
solid
about God of War?
product out there
it looks
now
amazing.
that
I haven't
will
played it
enjoy
yet myself.
many
It
more millions of
absolutely
players
looks
in the coming
amazing.
year and
I
years
checked
to
out the
come.
story and everything.
And what other key
Definitely
releases would you
giving,
want to
Elden Ring a
highlight
run for their money.
for the winter here in the coming 2 quarters?
Well, you have many babies, don't you? So we almost have releases every quarter or every week. So I think it's hard for me to say that one specific game is more important than the other. It's easier then to look at the financial, and from that perspective, obviously Goat 3 coming today, and the delayed Dead Island 2 had a notable financial impact. Also the inclusion of Valheim that are scheduled in the 4th quarter would have a
that's something they
notable
announced
contribution as
earlier
well.
on Dead Island 3 was
There
losing
is
support.
so many
not losing
great
support,
games being released
being
and
delayed.
planned to be released, both on PC console and mobile. So.
And finally, before I let the others in here, the potential
Avengers
partnership
was nominated for Game of the Year.
that you were talking about
They would have
today.
to have a hell of a turnaround to even get in the conversation for that.
How should we view it? How big a % of your capex could you be willing to give away here?
I would have to imagine she's
It's something I've been talking about
New
for
Heroes coming this
the
year.
past few years. I think this could be transformative for us. I know it's not very much details in this, and it's hard to give that, obviously, because there is commercial negotiations and so on.
Whereas Squirrel
But
Girl,
now,
she is in the
because
trees,
of the main listing, we needed
protecting
to
you from
provide
chaos.
the color on this in order to provide the guidance to the market.
Are they gonna
I
continue
feel
supporting the
very,
Avengers game?
very.
I believe so. You got new content
I
coming
would like
out
the word very,
in a
perhaps, but
couple weeks.
I'm excited
And they've announced
about
what their plans are for
the
the next
potential of
patch
that,
beyond that.
how that could be transformative for us, and we
VLP,
have actually built the
that's
largest
what she needs to
pipeline
be.
of games across the industry. That because we don't have our own platform, as many others do, we like to capitalize on that, and this
I can
is
see
a
Avengers
way
being
for us to do
nominated for
that.
best ongoing game, but it has to get better. Yeah, 100%.
But without
100%,
overselling
they will
it,
have to, improve a lot.
stay tuned.
Is it, if you have to choose, is it risk minimizing, or is it
it's
receiving a bigger
For them to win
upside?
Game of the Year, they would have to drop all 3 of those heroes.
I
in
think
the
it's a
same
combination
year.
of many factors.
And all of them would have to land impressively.
But business risk is obviously one factor, especially when doing a lot of AAA, big budget games. AAA is it's a business risk, and this would offload a bit of that business risk.
So one thing I do appreciate about
It would
Embracer
also
Group, they seem
secure,
to be pretty level-headed,
cash flows
when it comes
and
to
profits.
even disappointing performing
So,
games. So like
No, we are
Saints
very
Row
excited.
underperformed,
Okay, thanks.
massively.
I think it's time to open up the floor if we have any questions in the room to start with. I think there's a microphone out there, and please raise your hand and state your name and company firm.
Hi, can you hear me? It's Rasmus with Handelsbanken. I had a question for Johan. You talk about the cash flow and the financial leverage at the end of the year being within your targets and ambitions. Can you explain that again? It looks as though we're already, if you're talking about forward EBIT, I guess we're already there.
I'm pretty sure they got some questions from
how should I
Avenger
read
fans.
that comment?
I know I emailed them a couple questions again. Hopefully we get some answers.
If you're looking at the way the financial leverage is measured, as you're saying, with the current net debt level compared to forward-looking adjusted EBIT, when you look at our net debt at the end of September, it is 11 billion. And then you need to factor in that we closed announced transactions in October or after quarter end, which impacts net debt, increases it, and it should be viewed in relation to that.
Sunny Red, that does appear to be
Can you be a bit more specific on roughly how much of acquisitions impact this figure then?
Ms. Marvel has no skins? She's gotten a couple skins recently. That's not true.
I think that the cash upfront cash component of transactions closed after quarter end is approximately
it's like at this point, I just feel like
billion SEK.
People who are watching for shutdown news at every turn is like this. That's just something you want. You just want that, because that's going to be the big news cycle for the day.
Yeah, Jacob Adler from Danske Bank here. Just one question on tabletop games. Given the product mix that we saw in this quarter with trading card games as opposed to board games, how should we reason about that heading into the next couple of quarters here? Would you say trading card games are still in kind of favor ahead here?
Yeah, I doubt they had the rights to that quarter.
Well, trading card games doesn't have the same seasonality as board games. So board games definitely has its best quarter in the third quarter holiday season. So
we could see
I would
Spider-Man
expect
get a
the
traversal
product
update.
mix in the third quarter to be more in the favor of the board games.
Black Panther and Captain America.
That's clear. And also now that UAC in relation to mobile sales came down to 52% of sales compared to a bit of a higher level in the recent quarters. Given the revised downward outlook in the mobile market, can we expect UAC to remain at a bit lower levels here ahead in the coming quarters?
In general, it's hard to give a firm forecast on the user acquisition spend. The way I'm looking at the business is obviously the EBIT and the projections the management do. When I look at the management projections on our mobile businesses, they look very solid, surprisingly solid for the coming year, driven by excellent execution, I would say, in a difficult market by EasyBrain and Crazy Labs. So I can't really forecast the user acquisition spend, but I would say we are a market leader or one of the market leaders to navigate in this business. So I'm confident in my management team will maximize the potential.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, his traversal definitely needs some tweaking, especially like inside of the
Okay, any more questions in the room?
And facilities.
Good morning, and thank you for the presentations. I wonder if there are any news or additional information that you can give us regarding the Tolkien IP.
I think Vision probably has a stronger chance than Wonder Man, but
it's a very interesting question. Tolkien, we could spend an hour on that.
Like in general, I feel like he's underrated.
Well, obviously, we just closed the transaction after quarter end, early October, and we are now talking to all stakeholders. The states, the film companies, the business partners,
I got that.
the game companies.
I still have that on my PS5.
And we are taking the perspective to a very long-term view. How should we, together with the other stakeholders, develop the world-leading fantasy IP into the future? Gaming being one part of it.
He was in Ultimate Alliance 3 too.
But it's too early to give color on our specific plans. I think we are still open-minded for, obviously, as always, input into that. I think it's also very interesting conversations around other medias than gaming relating to that IP.
But it sounded like,
but unfortunately, I have to tell you, stay tuned for the future.
It's highly likely that War Machine would be next.
Okay.
That's pure
I
speculation.
think we'll continue with a couple of questions from the web. I have a lot of incoming here, and it's really hard to choose from everything. But the first one I'll go. It's a question from Marlon, and he's asking, what have you included in the 23-24 guidance in adjusted EBIT from the partnerships and licensing deal?
No, well, we haven't specifically disclosed how much of that is included into that forecast.
I really like 100 floor
obviously
division style raid on Avengers Tower.
Range.
That would be amazing, but I just don't.
I
don't think they had the resources to pull something like that off right now.
on all our forecasting.
Working on join in progress and,
however, I think it's time to be humble today that we have been wrong. Even though we have been cautious on forecasting. We had to revise it today on this financial year, driven now by the delay, partly the delay of Dead Island 2. So PC console is
vision, planning, and foresight.
It's major for that's the beauty. Game. It's a volatile, difficult market to forecast. But I can't give full or color really how much of it's included into that forecast, but it's a quite nice contribution. Looking back, we have done a number of historic deals with platforms that has been contributing into our business up until today, but I think this would increase that level.
And second one here from Marlon. You mentioned in the last report that you expect organic growth of 20 to 35% for this year. Any comments about that?
They've already taken them on. I think we'll start seeing some major changes.
So you want to know what we should share here?
The hosting website and everything like that.
First of all, we'd like to say that we are going to the main market, and we need to have one forecast. And our forecast and guidance is the adjusted EBIT.
He would be dope.
So it's a bit technical in this regard. Commenting on that. Because you asked me, Martin.
Appreciate that, bro.
I could still confirm that we should be within that guidance as it looks. Most likely in the lower end of it, within that guidance.
Then I'll go to a question from Nick Dempsey. He's asking, with the share price at this level, the change in interest rates and the special review ongoing, can we assume that you will not make sizable acquisitions in the foreseeable future?
Do I think we can get Doctor Strange in 2023?
I don't think you should roll out transactions. In general, I would like to be
what they're
active in the marketplace,
right
but it's difficult to do very large, sizable acquisitions if your currency are valued
I think they still plan
as
to
it is
deliver
currently.
on She-Hulk at some point. I think they're trying to figure out a
way
way to
destructive to shareholder value.
And market that without being undercut by Miller.
Obviously, if there is a fantastic, very sizable company willing to sell at significantly lower valuations, I'm here to talk.
That's going to take some resources.
Do you feel that sellers' expectations are coming down now?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think War Machine has a really good chance.
It looks like a lot of things are for sale, but on PC console, business is still I would say, a solid market for companies out there, both private and private market. So expectations are more reasonable,
so you're going to get
and I think many people appreciate the ecosystem and platform we have built within Embracer.
Pym won't be able to turn into or won't be able to shrink anymore without dying.
To be fair, we have the pieces we need. In general, we have the pieces we need to be successful as a group. So we don't need to acquire a lot of companies to grow.
Traversal improvements need to be released.
Okay, thanks. I have a question here from Adrian. He's asking, considering you didn't share the ROI chart that you have been showing every presentation over the past few years, what can you tell us about the ROI of the latest releases?
Coming up in a few minutes.
Okay.
That's a deep dive slide. It's not... So.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
They have a whole presentation
and Tom Singlehurst from Citi, he's asking, Can you talk about the transformative licensing partnership? Given it's yet to be concluded, how do you know what its contribution will be?
Well, obviously, I know enough to be confident enough to include it into the guidance within different outcomes. So I know quite a lot of what games we're talking about and what's the economics around the deal and transactions relating to this.
And other presentations followed by analyst-led Q&A.
Obviously, I know a lot.
So next, I think during the presentation,
he's actually also asking what elements of this licensing partnership are we missing? Does it also come with a stake sale and therefore dilution for existing equity shareholders?
I don't think we should expect that.
Yeah, I saw Wakanda Forever. I've been trying to pick.
I'm not linking that transaction to a stake
see
sale.
how that does and everything. I'm trying to decide
maybe
if I want to do
I see we have 3 minutes left of the Q&A. Maybe you want to share some more light on the strategic review and potential for spin-offs going forward, etc. There's a lot of questions coming in.
Yeah, obviously we have another Q&A session with you in a while. So, but no, but you know, there is a new market environment. I think we need to be realistic, and we built a fantastic group of companies together. But one of the strategic and the strategies we have is obviously to continue to grow by, for example, acquisitions. But it's difficult when we the valuations
2023. If we can get
what they are
confirmation on that or like a hint at that. In my recent video,
we have amazing
guys,
businesses generating substantial cash flows today, market leaders. And then we have amazing businesses that we decided to invest into the future of, that the cash flows will be in the future. The mix of those together is not optimal.
Yeah, they would have had to plan
in the current
for that
market environment.
Right at the way in the early stages of development.
So one of the potential outcome could be to take one or some amazing companies and make them into separate public companies.
Talk about how good Namor was in Black Panther.
But obviously we need to
showcase in there.
Have this special review team do their work. I have obviously, as a major shareholder myself, hopefully some input into that discussion.
Doesn't instill confidence about what the team is able to do like this.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
And
I see we are finishing off this Q&A on time. So I think it's time for the deep dive.
There's more than one way to look at what
Thank you, Martin. I know we will be back here after this session. So let's go back on stage, at least myself here.
So I feel like Winter Soldier and Cloning Lab will book in what they were able to do for this year, like as far as reworks and adding Jane Foster, and that's their end game or end of the year content with Winter Soldier and the Cloning Lab OLT.
Hello everyone, and welcome back on stage here. I'm honored to welcome Emma Ihre and Sebastian from Gearbox on stage, and they will give you a deep dive into many very interesting topics. So welcome on stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So my name is Emma Ihre. I'm head of sustainability at Embracer. Okay. There is my slide. Okay, so first of all, what's the reason why Embracer exists? It is to provide the world with great games and great entertainment, but also create value for our shareholders and other stakeholders and give back to society. So we're already doing that today, and we will do that even more in the future.
Venom, Ghost Rider,
we walk our talk everywhere in the world where we run our business. We map and manage our risks in all countries, in all regions where we run our operation. And as well, we try to do our best to develop our business, to also do good for people, for our beautiful planet, and to be successful in the long run. Although we really love our head office in Karlstad, in Värmland, we are confident that it's not 50 people in Sweden that will make the difference.
What's up, Avex?
It's the studios, the companies, the 15,000 employees, family members that actually will do the job, will make the difference. And last time we invited Asmodee to present Access Plus. It's an initiative for equal and inclusive games. And this time we have the honor to present Sebastian and Gearbox, and to talk about Borderlands science. And I just realized I didn't pronounce I just used your first name. And that might be because I won't get the Nobel Prize in French. And I noticed that Lars did the same. He just called you Sebastian. So I think we just set a standard that within the family, even though we are on stage, we just present the first name. Yeah, so you're so welcome, Sebastian.
Merci beaucoup, Emma. Thank you so very much.
Okay, look that up.
Thank you. Yeah? So I'm Sebastien Guys from Gearbox Studio Quebec. I'm co-studio head there. That studio is a team of more than 300 people, one integrated team over 2 locations, 2 floors, one in Quebec City, one in Montreal. And may I borrow this?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. So let me talk to you today about what we do. The mission of Gearbox, of which we are a part, is to entertain the world. I present to you today Borderlands Science, which is a mini-game within Borderlands Science 3, where we push to entertain the world sustainably.
Yeah, this is around your
now, this game is about gene sequencing. So essentially, we're leveraging the puzzle-solving capabilities of our players to do genetic sequencing. Why do this?
I said well, they're going to be talking about
the
Avengers,
algorithms that the scientists currently have to parse through genetic sequence are not perfect, and they can get stumped by the noise in the data, and it turns out that humans are very good at pattern recognition. So how do we bring such a type of citizen science endeavor into a AAA game? So Borderlands 3 is a first-person shooter. And so you see your hands, you have a gun, you're shooting at bad guys, and you loot. And so there's a place within the game where you can pull up to a virtual arcade booth. That's the visual metaphor that we use to present this minigame. Now, the minigame takes its inspiration from a web browser game developed at McGill University, which is essentially a tile matching game, but using the 4 nucleotides that make up the genetic sequence. And so what we did was to, with the McGill team, reinvent essentially the gameplay and the aesthetics to bring in within the fiction of Borderlands, so that players still feel engaged with the game and have fun doing it. So this is what the game looks like. And what you're looking at, you've got the 4 different types of tiles that are the nucleotides. But you also have what the player does, and this is what you see in terms of these yellow boxes there. That's player movement correcting the sequence. Now, all of that is essentially gut bacteria DNA. Why do we care about this? Well, it turns out that our gut microbiome, so each of you can think of yourselves as,
I'll do
distinct
another breakdown video on
ecosystems.
everything. Whatever
And
they
the
share,
gut bacteria that we
see a
have is different from
traditional
people to
breakdown
people.
video for it.
And it has an influence
I got
on
you
our
covered.
health. These are beneficial or not beneficial, it depends, and they influence things like obesity, neurological diseases, and multiple other conditions. And they also have an impact on the type of medication or care we can provide for these conditions. So trying to understand them better is really key. Now, for the players, there's another why. It can be more immediate. And we also provide them with essentially boosters that they can purchase through an in-game currency that is within the minigame. So I was talking earlier about guns and shooting your enemies. Well, maybe the gun shoots farther or does more damage or the loot gets better. So this, again, engages player, and we're leveraging here their
like I said, I got you guys covered either
their
way.
skills, not only to get at a better sequence, we're also tracking what the players do to enhance what the algorithms can currently do, because the objective is to get at better algorithms that are going to be able to do this automatically.
Again, if they're struggling financially, that does
in terms of
well for the
how
future
we
of
actually
Avengers.
do
So it
this,
is encouraging
I'm going to
hear
carry
that they
you
are,
through the partnerships that are there.
having a solid
American
year
Gut,
in
which is
terms
part of the
of
Microsetta
profit.
initiative, is sending filtered sequencing data to McGill.
Kratos
McGill
beer,
University
hey.
provides us with the
All you
alignment
gotta do
puzzles
is
that
throw a
show up in
boy
the
in
game. MMOS, which is Massively Multiplayer
board.
Online Science, based in Switzerland, sends us ranked puzzles that the players solve. Those solutions are sent back to MMOS, which go back as packaged solutions to McGill, where they can tweak and improve the algorithm. And step 6, the improved alignments are sent to American Gut.
Yeah, that probably is Bucky's most
We launched this on
iconic
April
skin.
7, 2020. This was after the release of Borderlands 3. And it was a free update to anybody who
I could
already
skip through
owned
this
Borderlands 3.
presentation,
So
I
this was
would.
done on World Health Day. Now, in the first 24 hours,
This is the
we
workaround.
had more than 6 million puzzles completed, more than 150,000 active players. Each player completed, on average, roughly 40 puzzles. Our top player completed more than 500. Now, our optimistic forecast was to reach about 1 million
Like I
puzzles
said,
completed by
they
the end of the
really have to
first
continue
week.
support
So
to get people like
we
Falcon in the pipeline.
completely blew the roof off of this objective. And
not yet showing gaming
as
videos.
of today, we have reached more than
just getting to the
3.5
section where you
million
would
active
see something
players,
like that.
with over 122 puzzles completed.
I'm
We've
pretty sure Crystal Dynamics,
received
will have a
worldwide coverage in
presentation at the very
specialized
least
and
speaking
mass
about,
media, as well
Tomb Raider,
as
because that's
an editorial
a
in
big reason that they
Nature
were picked up
Biotech,
by Embracer.
in-depth documentaries such as Of the Cup,
not
Red Bull
not
TV,
yet,
Savoir
champion.
Media, and we won the 2021 Corporate Innovations Award of Tech Titans.
What
for
hero do I
this.
think they would add next?
So,
based on their current trend,
Citizen
I would
science
say
work in
somebody like
games
War Machine.
works.
That's someone that
And
offers
one of the key things is to understand that the data that we
avenue
have in
for them to
Borderlands Science is very
reuse and
versatile.
remix
It's all about
assets a little
DNA.
bit, while
That
still
data
offering
is
something
easily
unique.
interchangeable, and what that means that microbiome analysis, which is what we do here, is relevant to many
Feels like
fields
Shark
of
Tank.
scientific inquiry.
Like I
And
said, if
understanding
you guys are just popping in
the
and you're expecting, like,
microbiome
Doom news
of
about
human gut
Avengers,
bacteria is just one of them.
relax.
So this is really a first step in an ongoing journey for Gearbox as well as Embracer. And I want to thank Emma for giving me the chance to talk to you about this.
Kind of hard to
today.
hear me.
So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. And like Lars said, the world is dark right now. It gets a little bit less dark listening to you, and a little bit more beautiful. And this is one of many examples how we as
Hopefully that
entrepreneurs
cleared it
can contribute in the right direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you, Lars.
So let's move over to London and Phil Rogers. Are you online? I can't hear you, Phil, but I could see you.
Saying goodbye to the outside
I hear you perfectly now.
This Crystal
So
Dynamics.
welcome online.
This is the Crystal
Thanks
Dynamics
very much,
section.
Lars. Thanks for having me today. So, hello everyone. My name is Phil Rogers, and I'm the CEO of the 12th operative group here at Embracer. That unit is Crystal Dynamics and Eidos. We're both globally recognized brands in the games industry. These brands engage with gamers. We have a history of making strong, narratively driven, action-adventure, role-playing games. Now, of course, within Embracer, we're new. Today, we're not in a hurry to rebrand ourselves into a single new name, but at times we may just refer to ourselves by our initials, CDE. Now, thinking back, we completed the acquisition at the end of August. It makes today actually the 82nd day post-acquisition. We just wanted to use this first sort of 90-day lens to update you briefly. Now, our first impression is that we sit amongst some other amazing operative groups, business-wise and creative-wise, all distinctive. But what we found over these first 90 days is a lot of shared ideas and values and lots of potential for synergies. One thing that's unique about our operating unit, just go back one slide, sorry. Unique about our unit is that we're a spin-out or a carve-out from a previous business, Square Enix, and we've kept this ourselves deliberately lean in places so that we can operate efficiently. But it also means now that we can push in these other units to leverage their expertise and resources too. A very practical example is that PlayOn's customer service team is already up and running, supporting our gamers at the front line. On the creative side, we're also exploring a number of opportunities, from remasters of some of our classic games to exploring new opportunities and new experiences on platforms such as VR. Now, we believe in partnerships. We're 90 days in, and this feeling, we're really encouraged about the potential for deep and great partnerships within the Embracer Group. To the next slide. Yeah, our focus, as I said, has had a very classic first 90-day orientation. We put our people first. Our goal has been to get stability and visibility on our projects and our business, making sure that our direction of travel is clear and then set on where we see the best opportunities for growth and success. And then, of course, aligning our resources against that. Now, sadly, that did result in the decision, which we announced on November 1st, to close our mobile studio, Onoma, formerly known as Square Enix Montreal, and also to close our publishing QA department too. Now, with that decision, we want to redeploy the people to the maximum extent to support our PC and console gaming franchise plans across Crystal Dynamics and Eidos, where we're hiring to fulfill our current slate. I won't lie, it's been a tricky time, a tough time for people over these past few weeks working through these closing steps, but I firmly believe it's the right thing for us to do. Strategically, we want to diversify our revenue sources. One thing we pushed very hard over these 90 days is progress on our co-development plans. We really believe that co-dev is a way to not only add new revenue sources to our business and streams, but also to work in partnerships that can add and deliver long-term value. So this has very much been our focus for the first 90 days. We've got lots to do. We want to continue to push hard with these, and we've got a great team effort going in. If we just move to the next slide. Sort of continuing with the people theme, really, we really take care about inclusivity. Both Crystal and Eidos, we take pride in serving our communities, both locally and wider too. Now, Crystal, we were recently honored to make or host the Girls Make Games for part of their 2022 GMG camp, hosting, as you see here in this image, some junior devs at our studios in San Mateo, California, and also Belleville, Washington locations. Now, we had many Crystal presenters talk through how we make games and cover many aspects of the industry, but it was actually we who found ourselves inspired by the feedback we got by these kids, these younger developers, to push ourselves and challenge ourselves on new and better games and game making. Overall, the GMG series of camps resulted in the creation of over 42 game demos by young talent we fully expect will challenge and change the future of the video games industry. To the next slide. One partnership we announced earlier this year is our co-development work with Microsoft's The Initiative Studio. We're working on the iconic Perfect Dark game, and the project is going extremely well.
Like I said, I'll break everything
What's been so
down
promising internally is seeing how our team took on this opportunity, a new way of working. As we think about the future of how we work, collaboration across studios, across time zones, across geographies, across different companies will all become more common. So it's great to see the team at The Initiative and our team across Crystal Studios working so well together. So the next slide. So more about partnerships, and just a few weeks ago, our teams attended Epic's Unreal Fest in New Orleans. Now, IDOS, shown here, has always had a very big focus on continuous improvement and sharing knowledge. And two of our machine learning experts gave a talk on modulating, or controlling, if you like, game difficulty with machine learning, showcasing just how we believe new technologies can apply to the game development process. Now, it's all up on stream, and it's well worth a watch if you're curious.
Good to see
the next slide.
Dabbling in Unreal.
Yeah, just continuing with Unreal Fest, but looking at Tomb Raider for a minute. So in April, we announced that the future of Tomb Raider is on Unreal 5. And at the Unreal Fest, the executive producer and a few of our Tomb Raider directors took to the stage to share what it's been like switching from our proprietary tech to Unreal 5. And if you like, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly of that switch. Again, it's up on a stream, and it's also well worth a watch. Now, standing back to us fundamentally, sorry, just go back one slide, just standing back to us fundamentally, this is about the deep-rooted partnerships that we're creating for the future of Tomb Raider as a beloved franchise across games and/or media. Our partnership with Epic Games and the integration of UE5 into our development toolchain really lets us push storytelling to new levels. And we've not released any details yet of our franchise plans, but the team is excited to show where we're headed as soon as we can next year. To the next slide. And here, just cover a couple of active projects. Our award-winning Guardians of the Galaxy game just celebrated its first anniversary. And with that, we passed the 8 million player count. Now, we've seen great engagement from gamers with this title, entering into Game Pass and PlayStation Plus quite recently. I've actually just landed back from a few days in Montreal. I can tell you there's great pride in the team about the game they've made, and there's also great excitement now about how we can drive it commercially within our own business unit. There's also excitement about IDOS's future projects. We're not sharing really anything here, but stay tuned for next year, where we hope to come back and tell you more about the games that we're working on at IDOS. To the next slide.
Interesting. There he is.
Yeah, so we just announced 2 days ago, actually, that the highly anticipated new hero release of Winter Soldier is coming to Marvel's Avengers on November 29th. Now, with Winter Soldier, we now offer 11 playable heroes from Marvel's universe, 12 including Spider-Man if you're playing on PlayStation platforms. Now, all great heroes need great villains to battle. So MODOK, the original villain from the main story, is back in the long-awaited cloning lab and the new endgame Omega level threat. Now, gamers can team up with Winter Soldier and experience this amazing boss battle together this holiday, as we say, launching on November 29th. To the next slide. So my final topic I just want to touch on is on a survey that we recently took. We wanted to gain a community perspective on what players are looking for should we revisit the land of Nosgoth and, of course, our iconic IP here, Legacy of Kain. Like I said earlier, we have brands which resonate with gamers, and we hope to use these brands to drive ever more meaningful relationships with our customers. Now, in the past, we found that surveys typically get between 1,000 and 3,000 responses. But when we asked folk about Legacy of Kain, we received over 100,000 responses, and 73,000 gamers completed it entirely. And if you're one of them, then we thank you very much, and we appreciate it was quite an effort, given the survey was pretty extensive. We saw the news of our survey shared across social and press platforms, and we really felt this is a great way to reignite this passionate fan community with this legendary PC console game series. Now, rest assured, we hear you loudly and clearly, and we'll continue to update you on the what-if possibilities ahead for Legacy of Kain in the future. So to the closing slide, thanks very much for this opportunity just to share this brief update on what's happening across Crystal Dynamics and IDOS. It's just a glimpse, really, of what's happening, and there's obviously lots more we'd love to show and share, and we'll come back to do so, we hope. Now, at the time of the acquisition, just 82 days ago, we announced that Embracer feels like a perfect fit for our ambitions to make great games with great people, sustainably, and to grow our existing franchises to their best versions ever. We're approaching 90 days in, we believe in this, and we're really happy to be here and confident on that goal. Thank you very much. Thanks, Lars.
Thank you so much, Phil. I'm super excited about the future from you guys. So let's say goodbye to London and welcome Paris and Müge on stage. Hello, Müge, how are you?
Hello, thank you very much, Lars. I'm doing great. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to participate today in Embracer's Q2 presentation. Let me start this morning by taking you through the market dynamics we've seen over the first half.
So while they're going into that stuff, let's break down what was shared in that. So I didn't do a video covering it specifically, but they recently shut down their mobile game divisions. That was announced by Embracer Group. And a lot of people saw that as like a bad sign for Avengers and everything like that. But as you just heard in that presentation, it seems like they're going to be redistributing the resources from that. So the people who were working on those games, they're going to go on to other projects. They have Tomb Raider, they have Perfect Dark, they have Avengers, they have several things in the works over there, and they didn't announce what Eidos Montreal is working on after teasing the success of the Guardians of the Galaxy game. So they are kind of just spreading out, that division that was shut down. So those people aren't gone, those developers aren't gone, from the studio in general. They're, being outsourced towards or redistributed within the studio. So it's like that's kind of encouraging. And at the start of the stream, I was telling you guys I have some encouraging. I heard somewhat encouraging news. They Crystal Dynamics made postings in the past few months recently about hiring for Avengers, specifically a boss enemy designer and a level designer, and it appears that those positions have been filled. So it's interesting hearing him say that they're pulling people from those recently closed divisions and redistributing them throughout the studios. So it's like maybe they hired, they used one of those people to fill that role, or they, found someone, new to bring into the studio. We don't know, but apparently they do have, they have filled those positions, and they now have someone, or multiple people working on enemy design and level design. So we could see some stuff, some new stuff, get in the pipeline for 2023 that they had planned, but weren't able to actualize because they didn't fill those roles as soon as possible, or as soon as they would have liked. But Eidos Montreal having things up their sleeves, so I definitely think they're going to do a Guardians too. I think that may be something that they're announcing in the upcoming future. But like I said, just having those resources available to help out with multiple projects like Avengers and Tomb Raider, it just kind of it adds a little bit of optimism for what the studio can do in the future. I still think they could do a lot better as far as planning, as far as actually being in tune with what players are looking for from this game specifically, but that's kind of encouraging. Guardians appearing in Avengers game just got a little more believable. Eidos and CD have been closely working together. Like they helped develop Avengers. I don't believe Crystal Dynamics helped with Guardians at all, but they do have a working relationship, and they are familiar with the engine at the very least. But yeah, I told you guys, if you came here expecting these people to announce discontinuing support for Avengers during a business report, is like this report is to showcase their plans for the studios that they acquired and to showcase their financials for the year. So they're showing strong financials. They're speaking about their ultimate goals, and they're going to continue to acquire more and more studios because they are looking to be a major player in gaming. And again, like I said, I think the acquisition of Crystal Dynamics, because they had an active Marvel IP on top of Eidos Montreal, I think that introduced Embracer Group to Marvel in a way that they probably weren't before. What's good, Abby? Good afternoon. Appreciate you coming through. Well, yeah, it's like they got content right around the corner. So it's like, why would you tank support or tank sales or interaction, with your game? Because it's like people are gonna come and want to buy Bucky skins, but if they hear, the game is shutting down, nobody's paying for anything. So it's like you just shot yourself, like you blew your leg off with a move like that. So it's like there is no intelligence in that. What's good, Bucky? We a few weeks away from actually seeing you in game, good sir. I hope you got your AR ready. I think all other characters are 154 or higher. Yeah, I'm going to get back to streaming raids and OLTs with you guys, helping you level up these next few weeks, especially over the weekends. I've been hearing a lot of people complain about not being able to get past 150, and it's like, I can help you guys. Like I need to grind. I'm grinding gear pieces for Thor anyway, so it's like I can carry you guys through a couple OLTs and raids and things like that. I struggle with playing that stuff on stream because it's like I don't feel like I can be as engaging, but I'll try to find a better balance between that just to be able to help you guys. The news was they just promoted the Winter Soldier news, so there is a Q&A session that's coming up after these presentations that will offer a chance for the media to ask questions that were fielded through emails. I know Sadat probably emailed them a couple questions. I know I emailed them a couple questions. So, hopefully we can get a little more insight into what's going on with Avengers during the Q&A. But yeah, like I said, if you guys are doom lurking or hoping for like shutdown news or something like that, it's just not going to happen somewhere like this. Nobody's going to see that coming. The developers aren't going to see that coming. You aren't going to see that coming. The only person who may have like a slight heads up on that is Miller, and that depends on his connections, who he's talking to, and things like that. But that would probably be your best shot at getting a heads up on the game shutting down. And Kaz, we trust. Hey, I call the news as I see it, and I try to be as objective as I can with you guys. Like, if I put that in the thumbnail, like, or the title, like, oh, is Avengers going to shut down? It's like, this stream will probably perform a little better, but I'm not doing that. I don't genuinely believe that, so it's like, I wouldn't do that. I can't do that. But, yeah, like I said, this is a financial report for the most part, but they throw in presentations from the studios because they are a gaming company at this point, so they're trying to mix things up, trying to make it a worthwhile stream, somewhat engaging, somewhat insightful. But again, it's like, at the end of the day, this is a business report. But like I said, it's also encouraging, information that's being shared. Embracer, they have deep pockets, and they do believe in gaming, and they do believe in studios. So it's like, Crystal Dynamics is definitely in a better situation publisher-wise than they were with Square Enix, who gave up on the game immediately. But it's like they still have to, you still have to execute and land behind the scenes. So it's like this Bucky update, it has to land, even though I know people are waiting, to criticize it. Like people, man, the first bug, the first bug that people come across in the cloning lab OLT is like, that's going to be blown out of proportion. Oh, it took you guys 2 years to make this, and it's all buggy and stuff like that. And it's like, bro, You got networking issues to factor in. It's stuff that they can only prepare for so much, and when they release it, they don't know how your connections and your connection to other players and all of that stuff is going to affect and interact with the game. All they can do is field those bug reports and try to prioritize as best they can to get fixes out and everything. But objectively, I think if they were able to land join in progress with Cloning Labs, that would be amazing. Like that would paint this whole year in a whole new light, because now going forward, we know patrol mode is definitely coming. Even though we know they're working on that, that's been long rumored, and Miller has shared that that's something that's been in the development behind the scenes for a while. Seeing a lot more updated development recently and everything, but Bucky, Cloning Lab, and Join in Progress would be major. I'm not really expecting Join in Progress, but that would be amazing to see roll out alongside Cloning Lab. Would you care if they brought in War Machine, She-Hulk, Wanda Strange, and Captain Marvel, and then ended it with the Kree? Would you be satisfied? Yeah, that would be a solid rotation of content. It really has to hit. And again, it's like, I wish they did a little more with making it where, heroes can, all the heroes can play through the story content. So like, I can go through A-Day with Spider-Man and stuff like that. Just little stuff like that I wish was feasible. And, they're finding time to do little things that we didn't believe was possible last year. So it's like, the hero updates and reworks and tweaking and buffs and everything. It's like, I'm glad that they're in a position now that they can actually do something like that. Hopefully we can see more, story and mission reworks. So like, if you're going to be reworking something, a lot of those Warzone missions that don't really serve any real purpose, they could use a rework. I would love to see those get a rework at some point. But, yeah, as you can see, like this is a business report before anything. But like I said, I knew Crystal Dynamics would have a small presentation here. I wasn't sure if it would be somebody from the studio, like Scott Amos or Brian, because he's the lead designer or anything like that. But I knew they would have a presentation just off the strength of Tomb Raider alone. Yeah, they talked about Avengers, Thunderlord. They just promoted the new content that's coming. They promoted the Winter Soldier and just spoke about diversifying their recently closed mobile division in Eidos Montreal. So those developers are now being spread out over different projects, for Crystal Dynamics. They gave what, like a 10-minute presentation. Wasn't much. But yeah, it's like marketing could always be stronger. We'll have to wait and see what they have, what the rollout for promotion looks like for Bucky. But like I said, I'm thinking it's just going to be a motion comic, a war table, maybe a dev stream showcasing a couple skins, but they might just throw it in the blog again like they did for Jane Foster. Who knows? And then an interview with the voice actor, which they just promoted today. So it's like they could do a lot better. They leave a lot to be desired with the presentation and marketing and everything. But if you guys are hoping to hear more about Avengers, they do have another Q&A coming up where they'll be taking email questions. So there's a chance we'll hear. I know people emailed them about Avengers. The last stream, they got a lot of questions about Avengers, and they kind of compressed all of that into one question. And it's like, I get it, because they weren't at liberty to actually speak about the game during that time, or the deal, because it was still being finalized. But now I'm pretty sure they should be able to field more questions about Avengers specifically. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just saying, Abby. I think we're gonna see some Avengers questions show up in the next Q&A section. So once this deep dive presentation wraps up, they're gonna get back. They're gonna go sit down and take questions from emails and everything. who do I want after Captain Marvel? You got to hit the ground running after Captain Marvel. I think just go strong. Just go strong with either like Wanda or Doctor Strange, or find another hero to tie in with that. So maybe go Ant-Man, but go big, go bigger than what we've seen. Captain Marvel. So going from Captain Marvel to Ant-Man would be a solid. It's not like a sharp decline. So it's not like going from Captain Marvel to like, I don't know. Like I wouldn't even view anyone as disappointing after her, because it's like the fact that you're still getting heroes beyond that would be enough. But somebody like Ant-Man or Vision or somebody like that right after Captain Marvel would be dope. I want Ultron and Vision, and I'll die happy. I'd rather play Ant-Man than Captain Marvel. Yes, Ant-Man isn't in any real games like that. Like, he's in mobile games. Mobile games will take on Ant-Man, but it's like the AAA games, they don't really include him like that. And it's like, bro, like, you have an opportunity to be creative. It's like, accept the challenge and do something interesting with a hero that no one else has tackled. Like, this game offers unique gameplay for different heroes, for a variety of heroes, and it's like, just double down on that. Like, make your Doctor Strange the definitive Doctor Strange until he gets a game dedicated completely to him or something like that. Like Forspoken, I feel like just look at a lot of what they've done with Forspoken and use that as inspiration for how Doctor Strange should work and could work in Avengers. Same with Wanda. What like I said, Scarlett, what you got other games you can kind of pull from to look at her. But it's like, yeah, bro, just take that inspiration and help yourself stand out. Like, if I'm a part of the team, both either on marketing or the development side, it's like we're going into our third year. It's like I'm tired of the negative narrative surrounding the game. I'm tired of our announcements being divisive and underwhelming. It's like, I want to land something that everybody can be excited for. So it's like, I know everybody's going to be excited for Captain Marvel, but everybody's going to be excited for Doctor Strange, with the exception of the people who are always going to say, why isn't it Wanda? So it's like Doctor Strange and Wanda is like, that's the only negativity is going to come from that, is because people are going to want the other one. Whoever isn't announced first, that people are just going to want to hear the other one be announced. But it's like, yeah, I would really be aiming to WoW. So it's like Patrol Mode, I really hope that they are aiming to WoW with that, and not, because it seems like, honestly, their new direction is going towards smaller. So smaller isn't always better, and right now smaller isn't even equaling or translating to faster. So it's like, if less doesn't equal faster, then what's the point? Because if operations and story content takes too long to develop, but you're scaling back on everything, like we're going from operations to hero events, but it's taking the same amount of time, if not longer, it's like, what's the point? So it's like, Bucky, he isn't having an operation, but he'll have a story, he'll have a mission chain. Okay, so why did that take so long to develop? Because I thought the point of this was to navigate away from doing the traditional operations, so we can get content out faster. You can get more heroes, more villains, and things like that throughout the year. So it's like, we got to kind of start seeing something from that. So the next hero shouldn't, we're getting a new hero in November, so it shouldn't take until June to get a new hero in the game. I genuinely hope that the next hero is currently in development. Like, Bucky is wrapping up, so we should be developing the next hero now. Like, now. You get what I'm saying? So that we can announce them in 2.9 or something like that, because it's like, we gotta deliver, bro. Like, in 2.9 can't come in June. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing over there to justify the existence of this game? because you're going smaller. That's undeniable. Like marketing is smaller, branding is smaller. All of that is going smaller. Your heroes are being minimized to just events, and your villain content is smaller as well. So it's like it can't take this long to squeeze out these small bites of content, but it's coming in the same time frame as more impressive, longer content. Yeah, the the Korean invasion, I feel like it depends on. I feel like we all have very different visions for what the Korean invasion will be in this game. And invasion, I think is going to be a raid, so it'll be a sequence, like a cutscene or something like that, an environment, like a war zone environment or something like that. So you'll similar to Hawkeye's Future Imperfect, or the Wasteland, where you can see the crashed helicarrier and things like that. I think you'll see elements of an invasion in the background and things like that. But like, what's the game? Marvel Nemesis, Rise of the Imperfects. You know how in that game, you see the thing walking across the bridge, and then the invasion is just happening, and you kind of hit the ground running. Each hero you pick up with, they're right in the middle of that invasion. I don't think it's going to be something like that. That would be amazing. I don't think it's going to be something like that. And it's like, that's disappointing, because I know a lot of people have stuff like that in mind, and I just don't think that's what they're looking to deliver. So it's like, it'll be Captain Marvel, it'll be Kree warriors, maybe Ronin, a Kree sentry or two, and that's the invasion. So the raid could be Ronin, or it could be us working to get to a giant sentry that touched down or something like that. It's like, who knows? But I think that'll be when we see our next big raid content, and that could be what the invasion is formed around. So her hero event could be focused on the invasion. So now Kree enemies are introduced. Maybe we get a new environment or two, where like the city is under attack or something like that. We don't know. I'm trying to be creative with my thinking, but also managing expectations. So it's like, if that makes sense, I'm trying to be as creative and fun as possible on a scaled down version and everything. Do I think Korean invasion summer 20? I think. I would say if we're going to get anything with Captain Marvel and the Korean invasion, it will probably be towards the end of next year, because they're going to need time to work on that. And right now, I think most of their development is going outside of getting Cloning Lab and Winter Soldier out the door. I think most of the remaining development is going to go towards shipping patrol mode. That's supposed to be big. Like, their patrol mode is supposed to be like, they're aiming to have patrol mode be a game changer. So it's like, that's going to change things in the game. That's going to be the big 3.0 the 3.0 patch is supposed to be the big thing. Like, that's the big next game changer that's coming. And patrol mode is allegedly going to be a big part of that. Rumors, no, don't take anything definitively. Don't take anything as an absolute. This is all just things I've heard behind the scenes. But it does seem like they're trying to, they have a specific vision. And I don't know if patrol mode is going to be limited to multiplayer only or anything like that. So it's like, I have a video coming up talking about that, like the decision making around making future content more multiplayer oriented, because a lot of people aren't liking that. A lot of people want this to be, or they want the game to maintain those single player elements that they enjoy, and new story content like Cloning Lab being locked behind multiplayer is turning a lot of people off. And I don't see them shifting away from that vision going forward. if they do, it would have to be sometime later in 2023 or going into 2024, and as a course correct. But right now, it seems the vision is to double down on multiplayer content. If they get more, well, like I said, the amount of staff they would need to make this game what people want it to be right now would have to be massive, and I don't see that kind of influx of staffing coming in at all. So 1 or 2 people being added to the staff, they would be excited about that. I remember on a stream, one of the developers, Alex, who works on gear for the game, he was super excited just to have someone working under him. He was finally getting one person, to work under him on gear, and he was like, man, that's amazing. And it's like that dude was excited for one
Avengers.
Brad, enjoy. Appreciate the sub. And again, guys, if you haven't already, make sure to drop a like on the stream. Definitely help support the channel, and I appreciate you guys being here at 3:47 in the morning. I don't know what time it is for you guys, but I know it's probably early or pretty late. So appreciate you guys hanging out. Do you think She-Hulk is still a thing? I 100% think She-Hulk is still a thing. She has voice work in the game, and it's like either they're reworking that voice work, so they have her recording new dialogue, to fit with the new direction and vision for her character, since when she was originally designed, she probably was, or when those lines were originally recorded, it was probably more for operation that probably no longer exists. So they could be reworking things with her character in terms of that. So it's like, I still think she's definitely going to be a thing. I think they're looking at a window to get her in the game, so she could be like the second hero for next year. Kaz, do you need much people working on the Avengers game? I don't think they have a massive team by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of the original team has moved on to other projects, and I don't know what this current team even looks like. I wouldn't even know to put a number on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 30 people or less. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. All right, I think they're going back to the Q&A section now. All right, let's see what they got to say.
Okay, thank you. Now it's time for the second Q&A part. There was a lot of interesting presentations here, and I think we should start with the sustainability part of it, where Emma
they already talked about Avengers,
touched upon it briefly in the start. What do you feel as the sort of main area of improvement and where the focus should be when it comes to sustainability?
Well, I think it's such a broad scope, so it's hard to point out one area. I think it's important to implement it into the daily work in order to improve on many areas, to be supportive to our people, to our business, to the environment, to the society, basically to make money so we can pay taxes that helps the society. So
yeah, I feel
it's not really rocket science, even though this was science today here.
But is there any area where you feel that you have taken big steps in the last year or so, or any area that you would like to see more focus in?
I think we have done a lot of obviously what you could expect from us in terms of governance and implementations of various control systems and policies. And personally, I enjoy reading the employee survey that we do all across the group, where you can track how people feel, how they think about the local management, how they feel in their own situation, are they happy in the daily work and so on.
it's a very important non-financial tool in order to understand how your businesses actually are doing. Because we are not better than our people. So if our people are unhappy, we need to take action and improve. So personally, I think that's for me the most important tool.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think what we have done is also to realize or to make it clear that sustainability or ESG should be a part of
it's nothing negative coming out of
the daily
out
business
of
and
like
support the business, and not a separate silo in the organization. So I think that's good. And looking at ESG, a lot has been done in governance as part of project changing listing venue.
Rewarded,
and I think also today's example from Gearbox is a good, very good example of what we do within the S part of ESG. Together also with the presentation of Asmodee Plus that was held at the AGM. So I think that's really nice.
Just a final question on this area. Do you feel that there is sometimes a challenge to, at the same time, meet consumers' demands in the games and at the same time uphold this high standard in ESG, if you understand my question?
Yeah, I think you are closing into a sensible topic in a way. You know, the world has become increasingly online, and it's a very polarized world if you compare it to when I grew up. That is obviously dividing people and also creates polarization within games on fan bases. So you need to be thoughtful and mindful about how you go about.
I'll address that
in the end of the day, if you use a lot of common sense and respect people, I think you have taken a few good steps to be successful.
In general at this point, Corey. Like people hate on everything.
Okay, thanks. And
even ahead of its release. Like
just if we're moving on to Crystal Dynamics and Eidos and that presentation by Phil Rogers. What would you say if you would just describe them a little bit more, sort of the main projects? We receive a lot of questions coming in from fans here on the tablet. It's hard for me to choose anyone, but everyone is asking about the Marvel plans. Is this the final update that we see now in this winter, or can you share anything more on?
No, I'm sorry for those fans. Our policy is that our publishers and developers are communicating around their projects and brands. So,
and if we go into the specifics in this company, then they had he talked about the mobile restructuring that they have been through. Was that a surprise to you? And final or second question would be, what's your view on their cash burn and what do you expect going forward?
I think on your first question, obviously overall I'm very pleased to have them on board. I think they are an amazing group of people and an amazing opportunity for us. We made a deal with Square Enix on a quite tight timeline. It was a package of things. One thing we identified was this mobile assets in Montreal and the QA team. We have been working to find new homes for those businesses, and now very unfortunate that they had to do this for the people, but hopefully we could have a number of them joining other companies within that group or other groups. At the same time, we need to take responsibility for our business. In the end of the day, it's the profits generated that pay our salaries. So
he basically just said
we are long term, but we need to see
what's coming next for the games up to the studios.
That it fits into our strategic roadmap as well.
And Johan, could you share any thoughts on the cash situation for them? What the burn rate is?
No, I think talking about the burn rate, it will be highly dependent on strategic decisions on how you structure or what deals are made.
As you heard,
for
they
the
got
business.
a lot of questions about Avengers.
Could potentially
know
partly
people are passionate
relate
about that game.
to
They're
this
not-
partnership
that's
and
not
licensing
lost on
deal.
them.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Okay, so I guess we will see there's potential for partnerships for them, and if we move on to Asmodee and Mygge's presentation here, I'm just thinking, how resilient should we think that this business is in a potential recession scenario in the coming year? Do you have any data you can go back and look and see what happened before? I mean, this is a market that has been a while for quite some time, if you compare it to digital PC console gaming, for example.
I believe, and we believe there is a long-term trend that will continue with the increased use of board games and trading card games in the world. If you look a decade ago, it has been a growing market by younger people, younger adults meeting, socializing, playing games, having fun together. It's a social happening. That trend will continue, especially in this increased digital world. There's a need to actually meet sometime as well. So I firmly believe in the business, and I think it's a relatively cheap form of entertainment still, if you compare it to travel, dining and so on. So in general, I'm confident about the business. Obviously, now it's highly physical, so they are a bit more into this turbulent world, but I think the trend is positive. I'm not overly excited about a lot of inventory, and perhaps we talked a lot about that today, but I'm now confident that they will lower that inventory.
Did I read Mygge's presentation correctly to assume that they expect normal seasonality and a big pickup of sales as usual in the holiday season?
Yes, and we're already seeing that in the numbers coming through from Paris, that the business are performing, the inventory levels are going down, and they seem to, what I'm hearing, having a good start on the holiday season. Sell-in.
And the initiatives in transmedia, what do you think about those so far?
I think it's still early days. There is now looking on the film and TV side, there is a substantial interest around a number of our key IPs for the future. But we haven't, executed, assigned things yet. We are still early days. We are long term. Potentially, we need to collect our forces even more to increase our leverage on that front. But I'm being very pleased to speak with a number of top players in the industry and the excitement I have around our IPs.
And how long time do you think it will be until we see Midgård in this context?
5 or 6 more heroes. That's a bit much, especially.
It's very hard for me to comment anything on that front. But if you're long term, I'm confident you will be pleased one day.
Have you played the Squid Game board game?
Not yet, but perhaps that is something for the holiday season. I've been doing something else meanwhile.
Fair enough, thank you. I see we are a bit short of time, so I'll just finish off with 2 questions here. I have to ask you about write-downs. It's a big part of this industry. You try a lot of things and then you have to adjust it. And given that you had a little bit progress a bit below your expectations in the last game releases,
Becoming an Avenger. Appreciate that.
How should we think about write-downs?
Again, guys, appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you
we do impairments regularly. We have our model.
Support the channel. And yes, we got Bucky coming in just.
We have our auditors.
Yeah. So we have the model for amortization of released games, and that's coupled, of course, also with impairment tests, and which is done on a quarterly basis, but fully on a yearly basis.
In general, we have a fairly aggressive amortization, with 2/3 of the investment being amortized the first year, and 1/3 the second year. And if you look at our overall portfolio, I'm super confident in our balance sheet on that front.
Okay, and my final question is on the chart that you showed in the ROI chart. You received the question why you didn't show it, but you had it planned. But when we meet here in 1 year from now, do you think that it will be above 2.9, excluding Saints Row, or below?
I think it will be higher, personally. But it's not a forecast, because I can't give forecasts.
And what about you, Johan?
I also think so.
Okay,
I'm looking
good answer there.
I'm trying to figure out
okay,
how
I think it's time to round up here and finish off. And thank you, and thanks everyone for listening in.
So yeah, it's like it's a financial report and it's a financial presentation. So it's like I understand, people really want like definitive, hardcore Avengers coverage or news and things like that, but it's like what we get is pretty reasonable given that that's not the focus of this. And like I said, I didn't stream the last report because I knew they wouldn't be able to speak about Avengers in any capacity. I'm with you till the wheels fall off. Hey. You see, it's Embracer Group, bro. That's Embracer Group. Interim report, Q2, July through September 2022. It's not an Avengers live stream. It's not a Crystal Dynamics live stream. They had a couple people showcasing what they're working on and talking about. They got financial reports, financial updates and projections. That's the purpose of this report. So it's like, it's not just like, if this was Crystal Dynamics, then yes, this would be 100% Avengers, and it would be fair to look at this being 100% Avengers. Like whenever they do a dev stream, I'm pretty sure they're gonna have a dev stream coming up in probably the next week or so. That's going to be 100% Avengers. Like this isn't dedicated to that. And it's like, it is what it is. But we'll go back to the Avengers stuff for you guys who may have missed that. But yeah, it's like, if you can see, all right, so this is the Avengers stuff right here.
Contribute in the right direction.
So let's move over to London and Phil Rogers. Are you online?
Like, it's not that deep. It's a financial report.
I can't hear you, Phil, but I can see you.
You can hear me now?
I hear you perfectly now. So welcome online.
Thanks very much, Lars. Thanks
Will they
for
improve their
having me today.
communication after this?
So, hello everyone. My name is Phil Rogers, and I'm the CEO of the 12th operative group here at Embracer. That unit is Crystal Dynamics and Eidos. We're both globally recognized brands in the games industry. These brands engage with gamers. We have a history of making strong, narratively driven, action-adventure, role-playing games. Now, of course, within Embracer, we're new. Today, we're not in a hurry to rebrand ourselves into a single new name, but at times we may just refer to ourselves by our initials, CDE. Now, thinking back, we completed the acquisition at the end of August. It makes today actually the 82nd day post-acquisition. We just wanted to use this first sort of 90-day lens to update you briefly. Now, our first impression is that we sit amongst some other amazing operative groups, business-wise and creative-wise, all distinctive. But what we found over these first 90 days is a lot of shared ideas and values, and lots of potential for synergies. One thing that's unique about our operating unit, just go back one slide, sorry. unique about our unit is that we're a spin-out or a carve-out from a previous business, Square Enix, and we've kept this ourselves deliberately lean in places that we can operate efficiently. But it also means now that we can push in these other units to leverage their expertise and resources too. A very practical example.
So, pause. Rambo, no, like what you guys are looking for, like as far as like a definitive, yes, we're going to continue support through like 2025 or something like that, or yes, Embracer gave us X amount of money and support and resources and things like that. You're not going to get that kind of communication from any studio. No studio operates like that. Nobody communicates with their community to that degree. Crystal Dynamics is a very private studio to begin with. They don't promote, player base numbers or things like that. So it's like to have that kind of expectation on communication is like that's on you. Like they haven't shown anything of that nature prior to this. It's like it doesn't work like that. This is a financial report before anything. This title, it's a Q2 report, bro. Like this is going into details about their financials for Q2 of the fiscal 2022. They're talking about their recently acquired studios like Gearbox Crystal Dynamics and I forgot the studio that was presenting before this, but it's like it's a small showcase because yes, they do operate in gaming, but they're a company, they're a conglomerate, before anything else. So it's like I get it. People told you were going to get major news from this. Somebody told you were going to see the game is going to die news from this. I didn't tell you that. I told you we're going to get something about Avengers. This would be the place to hear something about Avengers. You heard something about Avengers. They promoted their content. That's all I promoted. That's all I told you about. But at the end of the day, it's a financial report. That's the only thing I'm trying to communicate. But as far as Rambo's question, you're not going to get a definitive, hey, this game is going to live until X, Y, Z, because the developers themselves don't know. That kind of decision would come straight from the top, and that would be purely about financials. So if the numbers just aren't justifying development or continuing the game life cycle, that's when you'll get word that, unfortunately, guys, we're no longer continuing support for Avengers. The developers will be shocked, because they won't know. That's just not how it works. You get what I'm saying? That would be way above their pay grade. That would come from corporate. That would be a corporate decision that's based purely around numbers and the bottom line. So if we're not, meeting our goals or you're disappointed financially, then we just can't justify continuous support. And that's apparently not the case right now because they're rolling out content and they have, predicted that they're planning to do content beyond or updates beyond 2.7. So what's coming in 2.8. They're going to be doing more reworks around heroes and things like that. But outside of that, it's business as usual. So it's like I'm not the person that's keeping the guillotine above the game's head for you guys. I don't tell you that the game is dying. I don't tell you to keep looking in different places for news about the game living or dying and stuff like that. I don't do that over here. I understand that's the kind of stuff you're seeing and coming across, so it's like I get it, but honestly, it's really not that deep. But no, you good, Rambo. I'm not frustrated with you. I wanted to pause. Like I said, we just rewatching this anyway, and I just wanted to let you know, like it's just not going to happen. Like they're not going to communicate with you guys to that degree. And to the question earlier about their communication getting better. I don't think so. They're going to continue to do what they're doing. So it's like they're going to talk now because they have something to say now about the Winter Soldier and Cloning Lab. And then once that wraps up, they're going to go radio silent until maybe like February or March or something like that, as they always do. They don't communicate that often. They're not passionate about marketing and branding and things like that, which is things I've criticized them about, which is something I feel like they could do a lot better on and they should do better. Given the nature of this game, it's a live service game. So it's like keeping people passionate and engaged, that should be a bare minimum. Like that's the very least you should be doing. Perfect example, Guardians of the Galaxy. They don't even have content coming out for that game, but they're still active on their socials. They still promote photos. They still, make little posts to engage with the community and things like that. And it's like, that's passion. That's, whoever's in charge of that community, whoever is the community manager for that, they're passionate about communicating with their their fan base and their community in general. So it's like little things like that. Gotham Knights, they're in constant communication. You have the creative director interacting with people on Twitter, interacting with tweets, retweeting things like that. The voice actors are interacting. The developers are interacting. So it's like it's way more passionate studios and developers and things like that who are very active within their communities. And I feel like Crystal Dynamics has shown definitively that they just don't operate like that. Brian tweeting as much as he does, but also kind of getting upset with people because, you know, they come into every post, you know, he tweets about, asking about Avengers news and stuff like that. It's like, that's about the best you're going to hope for. Like, you know, I'm not saying you're wrong for wanting a definitive answer on that. I hope that's not the takeaway from this. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm just telling you definitively it's not going to happen. They're not going to communicate. They're not going to give you that level of authentic communication about this game's future. I think you have to look at what you've seen and what you know and make your decision around that. So if you're like, hey, I'm not buying skins until I hear definitively that this game is going to get support, you're going to be on hold forever because they're just not going to give you that. And I'm not telling you your stance or you taking that stance is wrong at all. As long as they post news about next updates, Avengers is in good condition. Yeah, it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, just you're not going to see it coming. You're not going to see this game dying coming. Like, it's just, the only way you would really see something like that is if, like, the Winter Soldier drops, the new content drops, but nothing happens. Like, nothing really changes as far as, like, player engagement, player interaction, and things like that. But I don't expect that. Like, anytime they drop a new hero, especially, you know, the Winter Soldier, he has a pretty sizable fan base for somebody who's not a powerhouse hero. So yeah, he's not going to do the numbers that Black Panther did possibly, and he's not doing the numbers that that Captain Marvel would do or something like that, or Doctor Strange. But he's still going to bring a decent, like, I'm pretty sure he's going to do better than people like Hawkeye and Kate Bishop did. Maybe just Kate Bishop, but you get what I'm saying? Like, Spider-Man, you know, they dropped him alongside the Raid and things like that. So it's like they're trying to be strategic with these hero events by lining it up with multiplayer content that will also bring engagement. But it's like, you know, it's really just not that deep. But yeah, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, if you look at any studio who, like, look at Marvel Heroes, they were telling people it's all fine and good, and yeah, buy the skins and all of this stuff, and then they got hit over the head, and that game lost support, and everybody was surprised. The developers probably learned earlier that day before the announcement went up, or maybe that night. But that's about as close to a heads up they're going to get on that. They're not going to know months in advance that, you know, support is being wrapped up in April or support is wrapping up in February or something like that. They're not going to know that. That's way above their pay grade. And that's just the nature of these things. It's like, that's just the nature of corporate, you know, just how corporations operate. So boardrooms are deciding, you know, what you get in this game, what resources this studio has for this game and things like that. And boardrooms will be where the fate of this game is decided if it comes down to pulling support. But, no, Rambo, like I said, I'm not telling you guys you're wrong. I'm not telling you you're wrong at all for wanting just something definitive about this game. You're not wrong for that. I'm just trying to be objective and real with you. Like, stuff like this report isn't going to give you what you're looking for. The studio themselves aren't going to give you the kind of definitive answers you're looking for. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the nature of the industry at this point. They're not going to tell you how many people are actively playing the game. If they're doing good numbers, they'll tell you, like, oh, we've seen an influx of players since we went to Game Pass, since we offered free PlayStation Plus tiers and access and everything like that. So it's like, they'll tell you somewhat of the good, but they won't give you specifics. But that's just, like I said, they're a private company, so it's like they don't promote those numbers in general. They can get in trouble for promoting those numbers. So, like, if Brian or somebody tweeted out, like, hey, our PlayStation numbers are 14,000 active players or something like that, he could lose his job because that's breaking company policy. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, they could want to show off the numbers, but they can't because they work for a company. They're just developers. Like, they're not gods of the industry. You get what I'm saying? They're not the shot callers. This guy right here, what's his position? I forgot his title that fast. Yeah, he's the CEO. He's the CEO of Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, and he works over in London. You get what I'm saying? He came over in the acquisition from Square Enix. So he was working under Square Enix, and now he's working for Embracer, and he's going to continue to manage Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal and everything like that. He's going to know. He'll be a part of the decision making for what's going on with the game, but that's not something he's going to communicate in a financial report, and that's not something he's going to communicate to developers themselves. So if you're disappointed that we didn't get bigger news from this report, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying maybe your expectations were a little high given the fact that this is a financial report. Wanting that information, you're not wrong for that. The history of this game, you literally just coming off of months with no real information coming from the studio. So you're not wrong for wanting information, bro. Like, I will never tell you you're wrong, and I hope that if you take away nothing else from this, that's what you understand. I am not telling you that you're wrong for wanting information, and just clear, concise communication from this studio about the future of this game, especially if you put 200 plus, or more dollars into this game. I'm not telling you you're wrong for that. You're invested. You are an investor in this game. You spent over $200 on this game. You're an investor, bro. If you would have put that towards the stock market or the company's stock or something like that, they would also call you an investor. But yes, you're invested in this game. So it's like, I understand wanting just, hey, tell me what's up with this game. Like, where are we going with this? What are your long-term plans with this game? They're not going to tell you because, honestly, being 100% honest with you, I don't think they know. I don't think they went into 2022 with a full plan for what the year will be. Like, I don't think they left 2021 like, hey, in 2022, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. I think they're making it up as they go, which is why they stepped back from doing a roadmap, because they threw a lot of stuff on the previous roadmap that didn't come. Oh, we're going to have a Wasteland Patrol. Oh, no, we're not. Hey, we got Cloning Lab. That's going to be dropping soon. Oh, no, it's not. That's embarrassing. You get what I'm saying? And now they're trying to, alleviate that while also ducking accountability, because, yeah, if you show that you have a hero, like they put out a roadmap with Captain Marvel for the end of 2022, and we get here and we're only getting Bucky, they're going to get massive backlash from that. And it's because they don't know. They don't know what they are going to be able to do. So it's like, they're telling you without telling you. You get what I'm saying? Like, we can't even commit to a full-blown roadmap at this point. We don't show teasers months in advance of what's coming because we can't. We don't even know. That stuff isn't even ready yet. So it's like, it is what it is, I guess. But like I said, I'm definitely not telling you guys you're wrong. I'm not coming at you sideways or nothing like that. I'm just simply saying, like, it's a financial report. There's going to be boring financial stuff. If that stuff bores you to death, especially at 3 and 4 in the morning, you're a human being, bro. You're not a boardroom operator. So it's like, I get it. I completely understand. But yeah, it's like, they delivered what was advertised for the most part. I told you there would be Avengers news. There is some Avengers news here. I was hoping they would have fielded more questions, but I'm not surprised that they didn't. He told you that, hey, we let the studios do the communication, and you've seen the studio's communication. They don't communicate certain things, so it is what it is. Phil Rogers, why not Steve Rogers? Hey. Yeah, Steve Rogers. Phil Rogers isn't gonna. This man is a CEO of two multi-million-dollar companies. Like, he's busy, bro. Like, he's not on Twitter. He's not sitting around on Twitter. He don't have Twitter fingers. He's not Elon Musk. So it's like, it is what it is. But like I said, you're not wrong for being disappointed. If you don't feel confident in further investing financially into the game, I get it. Nobody can call you wrong for that. I haven't spent any actual in-game money, I don't know how long. I just started back playing the game, really, like I said, I had a death in the family, so I haven't been playing much of anything or doing much of anything in the past few weeks, but it's like I'm just kind of coming out of that. But yeah, it's like it's your money, bro. You especially now, it's like you gotta be frugal and strategic with how and where you spend your money. And like I said, if you don't feel confidence in the game's future, it's because the company itself hasn't given you reason to have confidence. They've done nothing to instill confidence in a long-term future. They can't communicate about a long-term future because they don't know about a long-term future. That's ultimately why I feel like they stepped away from doing full roadmaps for what's coming. Oh, we're not going to do roadmaps anymore. We're just going to tell you what we're working on immediately and tell you what we want to do next. And that's it. That's all you're going to get. So I'm pretty sure they know who the next hero they want to work on beyond Bucky is. They're not going to tell you that right now. I wish they would. I wish they could. I wish they did stuff like that. Midnight Suns isn't even out yet, and they did a whole marketing campaign with Deadpool telling players what's coming, who's coming, and all of this other stuff. I wish they did something like that with this game. We need to find his assistant to tweet. Yeah, but tweeting these people isn't gonna help you, bro. Don't go harassing these people. I believe in spending money on this game. If everyone stops buying stuff, it's over for us. Yeah, to a degree. No, Corey, bro. Like I said, if nothing else, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I care more about just being honest and objective with you than I do about like clicks and views and things like that. I know it's not about that. Like I'm just like you guys. Like I got casual in my name because that's what I do. Like I play the game. I understand the casual player's perspective on this. I've become more of an elite player in this game specifically, but I get it. People just want to enjoy an Avengers game. They want to enjoy a Marvel game, and that's what you're looking for. Let me finish running this through. Sorry for the rant. Like I just wanted to address that. While it was fresh in my mind.
To rebrand ourselves into a single new name, but at times we may just refer to ourselves by our initials, CDE. Now, thinking back, we completed the acquisition at the end of August. It makes today actually the 82nd day post-acquisition.
Yeah, like
we just wanted to use this first sort of 90-day lens to update you briefly. Now, our first impression is that we sit amongst some other amazing operative groups, business-wise and creative-wise, all distinctive. But what we found over these first 90 days is a lot of shared ideas and values and lots of potential for synergies. One thing that's unique about our operating unit, just go back one slide, sorry. Unique about our unit is that we're a spin-out or a carve-out from a previous business, Square Enix, and we've kept this ourselves deliberately lean in places that we can operate efficiently. But it also means now that we can push in these other units to leverage their expertise and resources too. A very practical example is that PlayOn's customer service team is already up and running, supporting our gamers at the front line. On the creative side, we're also exploring a number of opportunities, from remasters of some of our classic games to exploring new opportunities and new experiences on platforms such as VR. Now, we believe in partnerships. We're 90 days in, and this feeling, we're really encouraged about the potential for deep and great partnerships within the Embracer Group. To the next slide. Yeah, our focus, as I said, has had a very classic first 90-day orientation. We put our people first. Our goal has been to get stability and visibility on our projects and our business, making sure that our direction of travel is clear and then set on where we see the best opportunities for growth and success. And then, of course, aligning our resources against that. Now, sadly, that did result in the decision, which we announced on November 1st, to close our mobile studio, Onoma, formerly known as Square Enix Montreal, and also to close our publishing QA department too. Now, with that decision, we want to redeploy the people to the maximum extent to support our PC and console gaming franchise plans across Crystal Dynamics and Eidos, where we're hiring to fulfill our current slate. I won't lie, it's been a tricky time, a tough time for people of these past few weeks working through these closing steps, but I firmly believe it's the right thing for us to do. Strategically, we want to diversify our revenue sources. One thing we pushed very hard over these 90 days is progress on our co-development plans. We really believe that co-dev is a way to not only add new revenue sources to our business and streams, but also to work in partnerships that can add and deliver long-term value. So this has very much been our focus for the first 90 days. We've got lots to do. We want to continue to push hard with these. And we've got a great team effort going in. If we just move to the next slide. Sort of continuing with the people theme, really, we really take care about inclusivity. Both Crystal and IDOS, we take pride in serving our communities, both locally and wider too. Now, Crystal, we were recently honored to make or host the Girls Make Games for part of their 2022 GMG camp, hosting, as you can see here in this image, some junior devs at our studios in San Mateo, California, and also Belleville, Washington locations. Now, we had many Crystal presenters talk through how we make games and cover many aspects of the industry, but it was actually we who found ourselves inspired by the feedback we got by these kids, these younger developers, to push ourselves and challenge ourselves on new and better games and game making. Overall, the GMG series of camps resulted in the creation of over 42 game demos by young talent we fully expect will challenge and change the future of the video games industry.
Bullet points.
To the next slide. One partnership we announced earlier this year is our co-development work with Microsoft's The Initiative Studio. We're working on the iconic Perfect Dark game, and the project is going extremely well. What's been so promising internally is seeing how our team took on this opportunity, a new way of working. As we think about the future of how we work, collaboration across studios, across time zones, across geographies, across different companies will all become more common. So it's great to see the team at The Initiative and our team across Crystal Studios working so well together. To the next slide. So more about partnerships. And just a few weeks ago, our teams attended Epic's Unreal Fest in New Orleans. Now, IDOS, shown here, has always had a very big focus on continuous improvement and sharing knowledge. And two of our machine learning experts gave a talk on modulating, or controlling, if you like, game difficulty with machine learning, showcasing just how we believe new technologies can apply to the game development process. Now, it's all up on stream, and it's well worth the watch if you're curious.
Working on Avengers.
To the next slide.
He was moved over to
just continuing with Unreal Fest, but looking at Tomb Raider for a minute. So in April, we announced that the future of Tomb Raider is on Unreal 5. And at the Unreal Fest, the executive producer and a few of our Tomb Raider directors took to the stage to share what it's been like switching from our proprietary tech to Unreal 5. And if you like, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly of that switch. Again, it's up on stream, and it's also well worth a watch. Now, standing back to us fundamentally, sorry, just go back one slide, just standing back to us fundamentally, this is about the deep-rooted partnerships that we're creating for the future of Tomb Raider as a beloved franchise across games and/or media. Our partnership with Epic Games and the integration of UE5 into our development toolchain really lets us push storytelling to new levels. And we've not released any details yet of our franchise plans, but the team is excited to show where we're headed as soon as we can next year. To the next slide. And here, just cover a couple of active projects. Our award-winning Guardians of the Galaxy game just celebrated its first anniversary. And with that, we passed the 8 million player count. Now, we've seen great engagement from gamers with this title, entering into Game Pass and PlayStation Plus quite recently. I've actually just landed back from a few days in Montreal. I can tell you there's great pride in the team about the game they've made, and there's also great excitement now about how we can drive it commercially within our own business unit. There's also excitement about IDOS's future projects. We're not sharing really anything here, but stay tuned for next year, where we hope to come back and tell you more about the games that we're working on at IDOS. To the next slide. Yeah, so we just announced 2 days ago, actually, that the highly anticipated new hero release of Winter Soldier is coming to Marvel's Avengers on November 29th. Now, with Winter Soldier, we now offer 11 playable heroes from Marvel's universe, 12 including Spider-Man if you're playing on PlayStation platforms. Now, all great heroes need great villains to battle. So MODOK, the original villain from the main story, is back in the long-awaited cloning lab and the new endgame Omega level threat. Now, gamers can team up with Winter Soldier and experience this amazing boss battle together this holiday, as we say, launching on November 29th.
So the next, it's like, and you know, for anybody who's unclear, like this is going to be his iconic skin. So it's like this is what you're going to be unlocking once you finish his mission chain. I'm pretty sure they're going to have a skin where he has the mask and the goggles or something, or you know, just the domino mask. I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, what skins they have presented for him during the dev stream. But yeah, it's like the fact that they're still talking about Avengers is like that's something, bro. Like at this point, you got to take what you can get with this game, bro. Like you got to take what you can get. My theory about Monica cloning Bucky, I feel like that would have been an interesting twist, you know, like an original twist they could have went with for the game. But it's like, yeah, you know, we'll see. But yeah, it's like I said, I go into these things with low expectations anyway. So it's like anything they can share or cover about that is cool. All right, let's skip back to the Q&A. Let's see.
Touched upon it briefly in the start. What do you feel as the sort of main area of improvement and where the focus should be when it comes to sustainability?
Well, I think it's such a broad scope, so it's hard to point out one area. I think it's important to implement it into the daily work in order to improve on many areas.
Like I said,
to be supportive to our people, to our business, to the environment.
I don't doubt that.
To the society.
Any good news?
You know, basically to make money so we can pay taxes that helps the society.
That's about the only good news
it's
I
not
can
really
say. Nothing
rocket
major,
science,
nothing like groundbreaking
even though
or
this was science
like
today here.
But is there any area where you feel that you have taken big steps in the last year or so, or any area that you would like to see more focus in?
I think we have implementations. Personally, our group, the local management.
Yeah, would we go to business and part of good example?
Just a final question on this area. Do you feel that there is sometimes a challenge to, at the same time, meet?
That's because games on how you give you.
Just if we're moving on to Crystal Dynamics and Eidos and that presentation by Phil Rogers. What would you say if you would just describe them a little bit more, sort of the main projects? We receive a lot of questions coming in from fans here on the tablet. It's hard for me to choose anyone, but everyone is asking about the Marvel plans. Is this the final update that we see now in this winter, or can you share anything more on?
No, I'm sorry for those fans. Our policy is that our publishers and developers are communicating around their projects and brands. So,
and if we go into the specifics in this company, then they had he talked about the mobile restructuring that they have been through. Was that a surprise to you? And final or second question would be, what's your view on their cash burn and what do you expect going forward?
So yeah, when he said, you know, their publishers and the studios, you know, they let them do the communicating and everything. Like I said, that seems to be on brand. It's interesting because it's like that kind of makes it unclear who's exactly publishing Crystal Dynamics and Marvel's Avengers right now. Like we interpreted it as okay, well they were acquired by Embracer Group, so that's the publisher behind the studio now. But what he just said kind of makes that a little more murky. So it's like it's unclear, like if they're being published by themselves or another studio who's under Embracer or something like that. Is like that's interesting and a little, extremely vague. He might have misspoke or something like that. I don't know, but hey, catch you later, Sunny Red, bro. Appreciate you coming through. Yeah, I'll be wrapping up, soon here myself. Like I said, we squeezed all we can get out of this lemon pretty much. They talked a little bit about Avengers. They like I said, they promoted their upcoming content, and he just was asked, can he speak about, this being the final update or anything like that? And he was like, yeah, I can't, we let the publisher and the studios handle all of that. So, he simply could just not be involved in that. So he, whoever handles the, communication from the publishing side, that just could not be him. So it's like that's what that communication could have meant. I don't know. Like I said, it's 4:00 in the morning. I'm not going to brainstorm too deep into it, but like I said, they're not going to telegraph that, this game is not getting support beyond this last update before the update even arrives, because again, that's shooting yourself, in the foot before you even get out, the race. But like I said, you don't stress on that, because again, honestly, you're not going to see it coming anyway. That's like, worrying about if you're going to die. You're not going to know when you're going to die unless somebody, telegraph it to you, or, like the Ring, call you and let you know, like, hey, 7 days. And it's like, all right, well, let me get a few more raids in and wrap this up, I guess. Catch you later, Nikita. Like I said, I'm wrapping it up as we go, bro. I appreciate you guys so much for coming through and hanging out. Appreciate everybody who dropped a like on the stream. If we can get that to 100 before we wrap up, that would be love. But after this stream, I'll be doing a breakdown video covering what was shared, what wasn't shared, and what it all means and all of that stuff. And like I said, the what we got from Phil Rogers about them kind of diversifying the clientele that was not clientele, the personnel that was a part of the division that they shut down for the mobile gaming side. I think that's very encouraging, because again, the timing of that kind of coincides with them recently pulling those postings about boss and enemy design and level design job openings for Avengers specifically. So it's like that's interesting. And again, I think with this game, you just kind of gotta read the context clues that you're given. Night Just Day, appreciate you, bro. OHB got all you guys. Like I appreciate that. But yeah, it's like we break down what we can. We take the insight that we can. I got people. I keep my ear to the street. Catching what news I can, and trying to decipher between rumors and nonsense, and communicating what you guys about whatever I find is interesting or valid. But at the end of the day, it's like they try to keep it as close to the vest as possible. I guess Marvel is on their ass a lot harder than everybody else that has Marvel licensing. So it's like, I don't know, maybe they get the Kevin Feige treatment. If they start getting loose lip, they get the sniper beam on their chest and learn to wrap it up. But like I said, hopefully we can get more encouraging news. The second I come across anything like definitively encouraging, I'll definitely share that with you guys in the video or a stream, and just keep you updated about what's going on, what's not going on. But like I said, I'm not the doom and gloom channel, so I'm not going to be telling you guys to look in different places for the game dying and stuff like that. If you feel like the game is dying, it's nothing I can do or say that's going to change that. But it's like, I'm not going to promote that, because again, I don't know that the game is dying. Every year, this game has seen a long drought and a dry period, but they've done something, strategically to kind of get them through that period. So it's like they're constantly bringing in an influx of newer players with free-to-play, tactics, like going free-to-play on Game Pass and free-to-play on PlayStation Plus. And I think ultimately that's the game's best and ultimate direction they're heading in, going to free-to-play. And I can see them going free to play fully around the time that they launch patrol mode. Again, free to play does, lend itself to the fact that they're going to have to change their business model and actually sell content. So they're going to be selling operations, they're going to be selling heroes, they're going to be selling skins. Everything in the game is going to be for sale at that point, but to play the game as it is, that'll actually be free. So it's like, ultimately, I think that's the game's next big play, and that should be their next big play, because you got to do something, and free is the only way most people are going to engage with this game. So if I don't have to spend any money up front, but I'm interested in the game, but I've heard bad things about it, so I don't want to invest any money in it, but I can play it for free, that's a good way to rope them in, because they enjoy the story, they enjoy the game when they actually pick it up and play for themselves. They just don't want to do it, and they don't want to pay to do it because of the negativity and the negative press surrounding the game. Oh, digital, bro. No apologies necessary, man. It's almost 5 o'clock in the morning over here, so I understand, bro. I appreciate you coming in whenever you did. Like I said, a quick recap. They just touched on what they have going on with Crystal Dynamics as far as the studio, what they're planning. They promoted the Avengers content that's coming out briefly. As I told you, that guy was reading. He's the CEO. He doesn't know the day-to-days and all of that stuff. He's not a Marvel fan to that degree, so he doesn't know half of the stuff he was talking about. He's reading from Cliff Notes, and this guy, he's not here for none of that. This is a businessman, so he understands that there's a lot of passion. They get fielded a lot of questions around Avengers every time. What's up, Retro? Yeah, nothing fatal, bro. It's business as usual over here. They did a light promo for their upcoming content and IPs. That's about it. So some Legacy of Kain talk, some Tomb Raider talk, some Perfect Dark talk, and talking about the division that got shut down, their mobile gaming division that got shut down, but that personnel being redistributed throughout the studios. So it's encouraging news, I guess, on that front. But nothing discouraging about Avengers. They didn't tell you definitively there's going to be content coming for for the next 2 or 3 years or anything like that. But you do know there's an update plan beyond 2.7. So that's they plan to deliver content and updates in 2023. That's all you have right now. That's all you can hope for. Can that change going into 2023? Yes, very well. But you're not going to find something like that in the financial report at 3 a.m. So that's all I was saying. But I love you guys to death. We'll definitely be chopping it up again today. And what's today? Thursday. I'll try to be live around reset time and get a couple raids and OLTs in with you guys and help you guys level up and get ready for Cloning Lab if that's something you want to jump into. But appreciate you guys as always, and I will catch